Imagine places so extraordinary they seem to have slipped free from the logic of our world. Landscapes that defy gravity, cities carved into rock, deserts that turn into giant mirrors, and natural formations that look more like scenes from another planet. In this 4K documentary, you're about to embark on a journey through the most impossible places on Earth. Attractions so surreal that, at first glance, they seem like they shouldn't exist. Throughout this video, we'll cross continents, explore natural mysteries, and discover how time, nature, and human ingenuity have created truly one-of-a-kind masterpieces. Each destination reveals a new surprise, a fresh sense of awe and wonder. Get ready to travel without leaving home. Open your mind and question everything you think you know about our planet. Because the real world can be far more incredible than imagination. In the middle of the Caribbean's turquoise blue waters, a perfect circle appears. Dark, deep, and seemingly a portal to the unknown. The Great Blue Hole in Belize is one of the ocean's most breathtaking natural phenomena. A massive marine sinkhole over 300 meters wide and about 125 meters deep. Seen from above, the contrast is hypnotic. Shallow, crystal clear water all around, and at the center, a dark blue abyss that seems bottomless. This colossal hole formed during the last ice age, when sea levels were far lower and limestone caves eventually collapsed. As the ice melted, the ocean flooded the space, creating this almost impossible landscape. Underwater, the mystery only deepens. Giant stalactites, submerged rock formations, and fascinating marine life turn the Great Blue Hole into one of the world's most famous diving destinations. As you descend, the light fades and silence becomes absolute. It's a place that blends beauty with unease, a powerful reminder that even on a widely explored planet, there are still natural abysses capable of inspiring wonder and a certain fear of the unknown. Carved into the steep slopes of the Philippine mountains, the Banaway rice terraces look like a gigantic green staircase rising into the sky. From afar, they form a pattern so perfect it's hard to believe they weren't made with modern machines. But the truth is even more impressive. These terraces were built more than 2,000 years ago by the Ifugao people, using only hand tools and knowledge passed down from generation to generation. Each level was carefully shaped to hold rainwater and water from natural mountain springs, creating a sustainable agricultural system that still works today. What makes Banaway truly impossible is its scale. If all the terraces were laid side by side, they say they would circle the globe. All of that on extremely rugged terrain, where farming seemed unthinkable. When the sun rises and the mist slowly lifts between the mountains, the terraces reflect the sky like natural mirrors. It's a powerful reminder that human ingenuity, when working in harmony with nature, can create landscapes as surreal as any natural phenomenon on Earth. In the heart of China, there's a mountain that seems to hide a direct passage to the sky. Mount Tianmen is famous for its enormous natural rock arch, known as Heaven's Gate. More than 130 meters tall, this colossal opening looks like a doorway intentionally carved by nature, far too perfect to be a mere geological accident. Getting there is already a surreal experience. The road to the mountain has 99 sharp, hairpin turns, winding along steep cliffs as if daring every notion of safety. For the truly fearless, there are also glass walkways clinging to the mountainside, where the transparent floor reveals the abyss beneath your feet. To reach Heaven's Gate, you have to climb nearly 1,000 steps on a monumental staircase. With every step, it feels like you're leaving the ordinary world behind and approaching something sacred. At the top, the constant wind, shifting clouds, and the giant opening
create an almost mystical atmosphere. Mount Tianmen isn't just a mountain, it's a symbol. A place where nature, vertigo, and spirituality collide, creating a scene so grand and improbable, it feels designed to separate the world of humans from the world of gods.
Deep inside New Zealand, there's a place where the sky seems to have descended underground. The Waitomo Caves hide a silent, magical spectacle. Thousands of tiny bioluminescent organisms light up the cave ceiling, creating the illusion of a star-filled universe in total darkness. Those points of light are produced by the larvae of an insect known as the glowworm, which use their blue-green glow to attract prey. In complete darkness and silence, the reflection of these lights on the walls and water turns the space into something almost supernatural. The visit happens by boat, gliding slowly along underground rivers. No engines, no voices, only the sound of water and the soft glow above. It feels like floating through space, surrounded by living constellations. The contrast between the outside world and this hidden universe makes Waitomo even more astonishing. A fragile, delicate, breathtakingly beautiful place that proves some of the planet's most extraordinary experiences aren't found on mountain peaks, but hidden deep within the Earth.
On the edge of the North Atlantic, Northern Ireland's coast holds one of the strangest and most perfectly formed geological sites on the planet. The Giant's Causeway is made up of around 40,000 basalt columns, most of them almost perfectly hexagonal, fitted together like a massive stone puzzle. These columns formed after an ancient volcanic eruption, when lava cooled slowly and contracted evenly, creating surprisingly precise geometric patterns. The result is a landscape that looks man-made, as if designed by architects, not nature. For centuries, science competed with legend. According to local folklore, the stones were placed there by a giant named Finn McCool, who built a bridge to Scotland to face a rival. And looking at the perfect alignment of the columns, it's easy to see why the story endured. When waves crash between the rocks and the cloudy sky blends into the sea, the scene becomes even more dramatic. The Giant's Causeway proves that nature sometimes creates shapes so exact they feel impossible to be natural. In the middle of Nevada's arid desert, a burst of color erupts where nothing should exist. Fly Geyser looks like a surreal fountain pulled straight from a sci-fi film. Irregular cones constantly spraying hot water, staining the ground with vivid reds, greens, and yellows. Strangely, this phenomenon wasn't born entirely naturally. It appeared by accident in the 1960s, when a drilling operation searching for geothermal water released underground pressure. Ever since, mineral-rich water has kept rising, depositing layers of sediment decade after decade. The intense colors come from thermophilic algae that thrive in high temperatures, creating organic-looking patterns that shift with the light and weather. The constant steam and bubbling sound make it feel like the ground is alive. Fly Geyser is small in size, but enormous in visual impact, a striking reminder that even a human mistake can trigger something extraordinary, a place so strange and unlikely it seems hand-painted in the middle of nowhere.
On a remote island in Australia, there's a lake whose color defies explanation at first glance. Lake Hillier is completely pink, a vibrant, uniform shade that stays year-round, no matter the weather or lighting. The contrast with the deep blue ocean right beside it makes the scene even more surreal. For a long time, scientists tried to understand the source of that unusual color. Today, it's believed to come from microorganisms and algae that produce pigments in an extremely salty environment. Even so, the effect still looks artificial, as if someone painted the lake on purpose.
What's even more curious is that the water keeps its color even when taken out of the lake and placed in containers. In other words, it's not just an optical illusion. The pink is truly in the water. Seen from above, Lake Hillier looks like modern art in the middle of untouched nature. A silent, isolated, unbelievably strange place that proves Earth still holds secrets capable of defying everything we expect from a natural landscape.
In the heart of the Arizona desert, there's a rock formation that seems to be in motion, even though it's solid stone. Known as the Wave, this surreal landscape displays perfect ripples in shades of orange, red, and yellow, like a wave frozen in time. These hypnotic curves were shaped over millions of years by wind and water erosion, carving sandstone into unbelievably smooth and precise patterns. Every line tells the story of ancient sand dunes that slowly hardened layer by layer. Access is extremely limited to protect the formation's fragility, which only adds to its aura of exclusivity and mystery. Those who reach it often feel like they're walking across an abstract painting scaled up to a gigantic size. Under sunlight, the colors shift constantly, making the rock feel alive. The Wave doesn't impress by size, but by the perfection of its shapes, so delicate, so improbable, so visually striking that it's hard to believe it was created only by time's patience and the forces of nature.
The Danakil Depression is one of the most extreme and hostile places on Earth. Located in Ethiopia, this region sits below sea level and records some of the highest average temperatures on the planet. But what truly makes Danakil impossible to ignore is its appearance, a natural laboratory of surreal colors and forms. The ground is covered with acidic pools, intense yellow sulfur formations, fluorescent greens, and molten-looking oranges that seem to melt under the heat. Active volcanoes, geysers, and salt fields spread across the landscape, creating a scene that feels more like another planet's surface than anywhere habitable. Everything there is constantly changing. Geothermal activity never stops, releasing toxic gases and hot steam that make the region extremely dangerous. And yet local communities have crossed this inhospitable land for centuries to harvest salt, enduring conditions almost beyond imagination. The Danakil Depression is proof that Earth can be beautiful and terrifying at the same time. A place so extreme, so strange, so outside the norm, it feels like it was transported straight from an alien world to our planet. Rising dramatically from the Atlantic Ocean, Skellig Michael looks more like a lost fortress than a real island. Off the coast of Ireland, this steep rock formation shoots almost vertically out of the sea, with sharp cliffs battered by fierce winds and violent waves. At the top of this nearly inaccessible island, Christian monks built a monastery more than 1,000 years ago. The small, beehive-shaped stone structures were built without mortar, fitted together with remarkable precision. To reach them, you had, and still have, to climb hundreds of narrow steps carved directly into the rock, with no handrails and a sheer drop beside you. Extreme isolation was part of the monks' spiritual life, as they sought absolute silence and closeness to the divine. Surrounded only by wind, seabirds, and the roaring sea, they survived in one of Europe's harshest environments. Today, Skellig Michael inspires the same disbelief, a remote, severe, solemn place where human faith seems to have challenged nature itself. An island so improbable and dramatic, it feels designed to test the limits of what can truly exist. In the heart of Croatia, there's a national park that feels like it was born from a dream. Plitvice Lakes National Park is formed by a chain of lakes in intense shades of blue and green, connected by dozens of waterfalls that pour gently from one level to the next. What makes Plitvice so special is a natural process that never stops. Minerals in the water create travertine barriers that grow slowly, constantly reshaping the lakes and waterfalls. In other words, the landscape you see today won't be exactly the same tomorrow. Wooden walkways cross the park, letting you walk literally over crystal-clear water, surrounded by dense forests and the soothing sound of flowing streams. In some spots, fish swim so close they seem almost to brush your feet. With each season, Plitvice transforms completely. Vivid colors in summer, golden hues in autumn, and in winter, frozen waterfalls that look like ice sculptures. It's a place in constant motion, so harmonious and perfect it feels impossible that nature can keep something like this in balance for so long. In the heart of Bohol Island in the Philippines, more than 1,000 perfectly rounded hills rise across the horizon, as if they were placed there one by one. The chocolate hills form a landscape so uniform and repetitive it looks artificial, almost like a vast field of natural sculptures. During the rainy season, the hills are covered in deep green, but in the dry season, the vegetation fades and everything turns brown, making them look like thousands of giant chocolates scattered across the land. That curious transformation is where the name comes from. The origin of these formations still sparks debate. They're made of limestone and resulted from ancient geological processes combined with millions of years of erosion. Even with scientific explanations, the sheer perfection of the view remains unsettlingly intriguing. From above, the chocolate hills seem endless. No two hills are exactly the same, yet all follow the same near-impossible pattern, a silent, hypnotic, unusual place that proves nature also likes to play with form, creating landscapes as strange as they are fascinating.
In the interior of Colombia flows a river that looks hand-painted. Caño Cristales is known as the River of Five Colors, and one glance is enough to understand why. During certain months of the year, its riverbed erupts into red, yellow, green, blue, and black, creating a natural spectacle that defies logic. The secret behind this phenomenon is an aquatic plant called Macarenia clavijera. When water levels and sunlight hit the perfect balance, it turns an intense red, contrasting with the dark rock bottom, green algae, and crystal clear water. The result is a living rainbow flowing through canyons and waterfalls. Located in a remote part of the Serrania de la Macarena, Caño Cristales remained nearly untouched for decades. Its natural pools, gentle rapids, and small cascades create shapes and patterns that shift with every bend. It's a fragile, seasonal, almost magical place, a reminder that some of the planet's most incredible scenes exist only for a short window of time, making Caño Cristales even more special, rare, and absolutely impossible to forget.
In the middle of a vast volcanic caldera covered in ash, Mount Bromo rises like an apocalyptic, mesmerizing set piece. Located in Indonesia, this active volcano captivates not only with nature's raw power, but with the surreal landscape around it, a sweeping sea of sand that looks like it was lifted from another world. At sunrise, the spectacle is indescribable. The sun slowly climbs behind the mountains, illuminating the smoke that constantly rises from Bromo's crater. Gold, gray, and blue tones blend in the sky as volcanic steam coils upward, reminding you the mountain is alive. Despite its hostile appearance, Mount Bromo is sacred to local communities. Every year, traditional rituals are held at the summit, with offerings thrown directly into the crater as a sign of respect and balance with nature's forces. Walking through this environment is to feel human smallness in the face of the planet's power, an unstable, dramatic, breathtaking place where Earth shows its most brutal and beautiful side at once, proving some landscapes simply don't feel like they belong to this world.
In northeastern Brazil, there's a desert that breaks every rule of what a desert should be. Lenquas maranhenses is formed by white sand dunes stretching as far as the eye can see, but between them, freshwater lagoons appear, crystal clear and blue, creating a contrast that feels impossible to imagine. During the rainy season, water collects in the valleys between dunes, forming thousands of temporary lagoons. The most astonishing part is that even surrounded by sand, these lagoons are full of life, with fish that seem to appear out of nowhere, brought by natural cycles still not fully understood. From above, the landscape looks like an abstract painting. White waves interlaced with blue and green patches that constantly shift shape. Walking through Lenquas feels like crossing a solid ocean where every dune reveals a new view once you crest it. Lenquas maranhenses isn't exactly a desert or a swamp or a beach. It's something unique in the world, so unlikely, so beyond any category, it feels like a beautiful mistake of nature and one of the most surreal landscapes ever created on the planet.
In the middle of the Turkmenistan desert, there's a place that looks torn straight from a nightmare, or an ancient legend. Known as the Door to Hell, this enormous burning crater has been on fire for decades, lighting up the night with a terrifying orange glow. The crater formed in 1971 when a Soviet drilling operation searching for natural gas caused the ground to collapse. To prevent toxic gases from spreading, engineers decided to ignite the site, believing the flames would burn out in a few days. But the fire never stopped. About 70 meters wide, the pit reveals a charring interior where flames dance non-stop and the heat can be felt from far away. At night, the contrast between the dark desert and the constant fire creates a scene that's both hypnotic and disturbing. The Door to Hell isn't just visually striking. It's an unsettling reminder of what happens when human intervention collides with nature's forces. An extreme, blazing, surreal place that lives up to its name and challenges the very idea of permanence in our world. In Madagascar, there's a landscape so sharp and hostile it feels designed to prevent life itself. Tsingy de Bemaraha is a true stone labyrinth made of thousands of razor-point limestone pinnacles rising like blades toward the sky. These formations emerged over millions of years as rainwater slowly dissolved the limestone, carving one of the planet's most extreme terrains. The name Tsingy roughly means where you can't walk barefoot, and one look explains why. Above this field of jagged rock, suspension bridges connect narrow trails, offering vertigo-inducing views of a scene that seems completely uninhabitable. And yet, in hidden cracks and caves, life found a way, with unique species of plants and animals that exist nowhere else on Earth. Tsingy de Bemaraha feels like nature's mistake taken to the extreme, brutal, strange, and mesmerizing, challenging the idea of natural balance and proving Earth can create landscapes as absurd as they are spectacular. At first glance, Lake Natron looks too hostile for any form of life. Located in northern Tanzania, this shallow lake has extremely alkaline waters with pH levels comparable to ammonia. The mix of minerals, salt, and high temperatures creates intense reds, oranges, and pinks, turning the landscape into something almost otherworldly. The most unsettling aspect of Lake Natron is its ability to preserve animals. Its high alkalinity can calcify birds and other creatures that spend prolonged time in contact with the water, creating figures that look like stone sculptures. A real phenomenon that fuels eerie legends and haunting images. Despite that, the lake is essential to life. It's one of the main breeding grounds for lesser flamingos, which can survive there precisely because few predators can endure such extreme conditions. Thousands of these birds transform the lake into a living pink sea, a stark contrast to the place's lethal reputation. Lake Natron is beautiful and threatening at once, a powerful reminder that nature doesn't exist to be comforting.
Sometimes it creates environments so extreme and strange they feel designed to test the limits of life itself. In the icy, unbelievably blue waters of Chilean Patagonia, there's a network of caves that looks like it was sculpted by patient artists over millennia. The marble caves, also known as the Marble Cathedral, form a maze of arches, tunnels, and natural columns rising straight from Lake General Carrera. These formations emerged as mineral-rich waves slowly wore away the marble, creating smooth walls, perfect curves, and flowing patterns that resemble brushstrokes. The colors range from white to deep blue, changing completely depending on sunlight and water level. Exploring the caves by boat is almost silent. The water reflects the polished walls, multiplying tones and shapes, and every turn reveals a new, unexpected detail. On clear days, the cave interiors seem to glow from within. The marble caves are delicate, quiet, and profoundly surreal, a place where water, stone, and time worked together with absurd precision, creating a natural masterpiece so elegant and improbable it feels impossible without artistic intention.
Imagine an island inside a crater, which itself sits inside another island. Aogashima is exactly that. Located south of Tokyo in the Pacific Ocean, this small volcanic island feels like a glitch in reality, a place where geography decided to ignore the rules. From above, Aogashima reveals a large mountain ring covered in vegetation, and at the center, a second crater where people actually live. Homes, roads, and fields spread inside this dormant volcano, creating a surreal contrast between everyday life and nature's raw force. Reaching the island is extremely difficult. Depending on the weather, boats and helicopters can be grounded for days, reinforcing the near-total isolation. Even so, a small community chooses to remain, living alongside volcanic gases, steep slopes, and the constant reminder that the ground beneath their feet has erupted before. Aogashima feels like a living geological experiment, a quiet, green, unbelievably strange place where human life has adapted to a setting that seems impossible to inhabit, proving that sometimes reality can outdo any fiction.
Mount Huangshan looks like a traditional Chinese painting brought to life. Jagged granite peaks rise above a constant sea of clouds, creating an ethereal landscape where sky and earth seem to blend. Often, only the mountaintops are visible, like islands floating in emptiness. What makes Huangshan truly special are its contrasts. Pine trees cling to near-vertical cliffs, defying gravity and common sense. Stone bridges and narrow trails connect the peaks, revealing dizzying vistas that change completely as the clouds shift. This scenery has inspired Chinese artists, poets, and philosophers for centuries. Every angle feels carefully composed, as if nature decided to create its own masterpiece on a monumental scale. At sunrise, when golden light cuts through the mist, Mount Huangshan becomes almost unreal, silent, majestic, and delicate at once. So beautiful and improbable, it seems to exist outside time, in a dimension where nature chose to show its most perfect form.
Scattered across the sand of a quiet New Zealand beach, enormous stone spheres look as if they were placed there on purpose. The more rocky boulders stand out for their near-perfect shape. Giant rounded rocks, some over 2 meters in diameter, lined up like eggs from unknown creatures. For centuries, these stones fueled Maori legends, believed to be the remains of baskets and food brought by mythical ancestors. The scientific explanation is just as fascinating. The rocks formed millions of years ago on the seafloor, growing slowly, layer by layer, in a process called concretion. Over time, erosion exposed these spheres, which now rest at the ocean's edge.
Some show natural geometric cracking, making them look even more man-made, as if carved by hand. When the tide rises and water wraps around the stones, the scene becomes even more surreal. The more rocky boulders are quiet, mysterious, and strangely perfect. One of those simple-looking places that still feel so unusual, they make you wonder whether nature truly plays fair with the shapes it creates.
Clinging to a sheer cliff, the Shangkong Hanging Temple looks like a structure built to defy gravity itself. In China's Shanxi province, it rests on stakes and beams driven into the rock as if it were hanging over the void. From a distance, it feels like one strong gust could send it tumbling, yet it has stood for centuries, steady, silent, unbelievable. What's most impressive is the engineering. More than just beautiful, Shangkong was designed to endure. The mountain wall helps protect it from heavy rain, and the structural interlocking distributes weight with remarkable intelligence. Inside, narrow corridors connect tiny halls filled with statues and symbols from different traditions, Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism sharing the same space. Walking there makes your heart race. Wooden planks, narrow walkways, and a view that seems endless. A place that looks impossible at a glance, but up close becomes a lesson in courage and engineering.
Rainbow Mountain looks like a colorful illustration stamped directly onto the Andes. Instead of gray rock, Vinicunca displays natural bands of red, yellow, green, and even bluish tones, as if the earth itself had been painted in perfectly layered strokes. There's a geological explanation. Different minerals accumulated over ages, oxidized and reacted in distinct ways, creating the stripes. But in person, the science doesn't soften the shock because the mountain truly feels impossible. And the journey there makes it even more cinematic. Extreme altitude, icy winds, fast-moving clouds, and snow-capped peaks all around. When the sun breaks through the clouds, the colors intensify and the landscape seems to shift into another dimension. It's not an easy place or a comfortable one. It demands breath and rewards you with awe. Vinicunca proves Earth doesn't need filters to create something surreal. It does it on its own.
In Egypt, far from pyramids and cities, there's a desert that looks like snow, but it's stone. The White Desert is an ocean of pale sand and wind-sculpted limestone formations, creating natural statues that resemble giant mushrooms, animals, and abstract figures. The strangest part is how intentional it all looks. Some rocks appear to balance on impossibly thin bases with massive tops, as if someone carefully stacked tons of stone. At sunset, the white turns pink and gold. At night, under a star-filled sky, the desert becomes otherworldly, silent, vast, almost supernatural. The wind keeps shaping it non-stop, so the landscape is always changing. A formation that looks like a camel today could become something entirely different over the years. The White Desert proves nature is also a sculptor, and sometimes it creates works so surreal you question whether they're real until you touch them with your own hands. Suspended between sky and earth, the monasteries of Meteora seem to defy every law of nature. Enormous rock pillars rise straight from the ground, as if giants placed them there. Atop these nearly inaccessible formations, centuries-old structures withstand time, wind, and gravity, creating one of the most breathtaking sights on the planet. Located in Greece, Meteora was born from an unlikely meeting of extreme geology and human devotion. More than 600 years ago, monks chose to withdraw from the world, building monasteries atop the rocks in search of spiritual peace and protection. For centuries, access was possible only via makeshift ladders or baskets suspended by ropes.
a journey as dangerous as it was symbolic. When mist wraps around the mountains, the monasteries seem to float in the air, giving the feeling this place doesn't fully belong to Earth. At sunrise, golden light turns the rocks into true natural sculptures, reinforcing the idea that Meteora is one of those places that simply shouldn't exist, but does. A sacred, mysterious, unforgettable landscape.
Cappadocia feels like a world shaped by imagination. Stone towers known as fairy chimneys stretch across the horizon, forming surreal valleys that look like sci-fi sets. Over millions of years, wind and water erosion carved these improbable forms, creating one of the most unique landscapes on the planet. But what makes Cappadocia even more astonishing is how humans learned to live inside this extreme environment. Homes, churches, and even entire cities were carved directly into volcanic rock. Underground, labyrinth-like complexes once sheltered thousands of people, protecting them from invasions and harsh climates. At dawn, the spectacle reaches its peak. Hundreds of hot air balloons rise slowly into the sky, coloring the scene with vibrant tones as the sun reveals every detail of the rock formations. From above, Cappadocia looks like a different planet. It's a place where nature and history merge perfectly. So strange, so beautiful, so improbable that it seems to challenge reality itself.
Pamukkale looks like a frozen scene in motion, as if a giant waterfall of snow stopped mid-cascade. But what covers these slopes isn't ice, it's white limestone terraces formed by mineral-rich thermal waters flowing slowly for thousands of years. The name Pamukkale literally means cotton castle, and one look tells you why. The natural pools spread in perfect steps, reflecting the sky in shades of blue and turquoise. As the warm water cools, minerals solidify, creating delicate edges that look hand-carved. The result is a landscape so pure and luminous, it feels more like another planet than Earth. At the top lies the ancient city of Hierapolis, built by the Romans precisely because of the water's therapeutic properties. For centuries, people traveled here seeking healing, believing in the almost magical power of these natural springs. Walking through Pamukkale is like crossing a quiet, white dream, a place that bends logic, blends science with extreme beauty, and proves nature sometimes creates works that seem simply impossible to exist.
Hidden between narrow canyons and towering walls of reddish rock, Petra appears like an unexpected revelation. After passing through the Sick, a winding, claustrophobic natural corridor, you come face to face with one of the most astonishing facades ever carved by humans. Petra's treasury looks as if it were chiseled into the mountain by giant hands. Built more than 2,000 years ago by the Nabateans, Petra was not just a city, but a major trade hub of the ancient world. Everything there was planned with precision. Temples, tombs, theaters, and advanced water collection systems capable of sustaining thousands in the desert. What makes Petra even more unbelievable is the perfection of its details carved into solid rock. Columns, sculptures, and monumental facades survived time, sandstorms, and centuries of abandonment. As sunlight shifts throughout the day, the city's walls change from pink to gold, creating a constant visual spectacle. Petra doesn't feel built, it feels revealed. A place so grand and improbable, it defies any simple explanation, leaving you wondering how something like this could truly exist.
High in the Andes, wrapped in clouds and mystery, Machu Picchu seems to float above the world. This ancient Inca city, hidden from modern civilization for centuries, stands as one of the greatest proofs that humans achieved the extraordinary under almost impossible conditions. Built in the 15th century, the citadel amazes with stones fitted together without mortar. Each block was carved with near-millimeter precision, creating structures that have withstood earthquakes, heavy rains, and hundreds of years. All of it in a remote location, hard to reach, surrounded by deep cliffs. Agricultural terraces cascade down the slopes, revealing advanced engineering and adaptation to the environment. Machu Picchu is believed to have been a religious and political center, or perhaps a sacred retreat for Inca elites, yet its true purpose remains shrouded in mystery. When mist rises slowly through the mountains at dawn, the city feels like it's emerging from another plane of reality. Machu Picchu isn't just a historic site, it's an almost spiritual experience that makes you doubt the limits of what's possible. Mount Roraima feels like a piece of another planet stranded on Earth. With nearly perfectly vertical walls and a flat, cloud-covered summit, this colossal mountain defies natural logic. Located at the triple border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, Roraima is one of the oldest tepui on Earth, with formations dating back nearly 2 billion years. From the top of its gigantic cliffs, waterfalls plunge into emptiness, vanishing before they ever reach the ground. Up on the plateau, the scenery is even more surreal, a true lost world filled with natural pools, bizarre rock formations, and plant species found nowhere else on the planet. Because of its extreme isolation, Mount Roraima has long been wrapped in indigenous legends, believed to be home to spirits and supernatural forces. Not surprisingly, it inspired stories of forgotten lands and hidden worlds. Walking across its summit feels like stepping through a portal into a parallel reality, a place so ancient, strange, and majestic, it seems impossible something like this still exists in our modern world.
Salar de Uyuni is a place where sky and earth stop being separate things. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water covers the world's largest salt flat, turning its surface into a perfect mirror. The result is so surreal, it erases the horizon and completely scrambles your sense of space. Spanning more than 10,000 square kilometers, this vast white sea formed from the evaporation of ancient prehistoric lakes. In the dry season, the ground splits into natural geometric patterns, forming an almost mathematical mosaic. In the wet season, the salar becomes one of the most photogenic landscapes on Earth. Walking there feels unreal. With no reference points, everything appears to float. People, cars, even shadows create striking optical illusions, making objects look gigantic or tiny. Beyond its hypnotic beauty, Salar de Uyuni holds one of the world's largest lithium reserves, an element essential to modern technology. A fascinating contrast, a place that feels outside reality, yet directly influences humanity's future.
Amid the constant mist of southern China, colossal stone columns rise as if floating in mid-air. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park is home to thousands of sandstone pillars that shoot upward for hundreds of meters, forming a landscape so surreal it inspired science fiction film worlds. These formations were shaped over millions of years by water and wind erosion, along with shifting climates. The result is an army of thin, towering mountains covered in dense vegetation, disappearing and reappearing among the clouds as the weather changes. Walking the trails and suspended walkways feels like being in a world hanging between sky and earth. Glass bridges and vertigo-inducing viewpoints reveal breathtaking vistas where the depth seems endless. When mist fully envelops the pillars, the scene becomes dreamlike. Zhangjiajie doesn't seem to follow our planet's rules.
One of those places that looks designed for a movie, yet exists in real life, challenging everything we call reality.
Antelope Canyon is one of the most hypnotizing places in the American desert. Hidden beneath Arizona's arid surface, this narrow canyon was carved over thousands of years by the quiet force of water. The result is a winding corridor of rippling walls, smooth, perfectly curved, as if shaped by an artist's hands. When sunlight slips through the canyon's narrow openings above, beams of light cut through the space, igniting the walls in shades of orange, red, and gold. Minute by minute, the light changes, casting shadows and shapes that transform the scene completely. Despite its calm appearance, Antelope Canyon is fragile and powerful. Distant rains can trigger flash floods, reminding us this place was born from nature's brute force, even if it looks delicate and serene. Walking there feels like stepping inside a living artwork. Small, hidden, quiet, yet so stunning it seems impossible something so perfect could exist without intention. A secret carved into the heart of the desert.
Socotra Island feels forgotten by time. Isolated in the Indian Ocean, it holds one of the strangest and most unique biodiversities on the planet. Around a third of its plants exist nowhere else on Earth, creating a landscape that looks more like an alien planet than a tropical island. Socotra's most iconic symbol is the dragon's blood tree, with its umbrella-shaped canopy and deep red sap that seems pulled from legend. Scattered across arid plains and rocky mountains, these trees amplify the feeling that you've stepped into a completely different world. Geographic isolation allowed evolution to take unusual paths, resulting in plant and animal species that defy expectations. Even the island's beaches look untouched, with crystal waters contrasting against the harsh terrain. Socotra isn't just remote, it's a living reminder that nature can create parallel realities within our own planet. A destination so strange, so beautiful, so improbable, that it seems not to belong to the Earth we know. And after crossing surreal deserts, impossible mountains, lost islands, and landscapes that look like they belong to another planet, one thing becomes clear. The real world is far more impressive than any fiction. Every place you've seen here proves the Earth still holds mysteries capable of leaving us speechless. Scenes that challenge logic, imagination, and even what we believe is possible. If these places made you dream, if any of them went straight onto your bucket list, then this journey was worth it. And it doesn't have to end here. Subscribe to the channel to keep exploring the most incredible, curious, and unexplainable places on the planet. And now tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And which of these places surprised you the most? The next journey begins in the next video.